So when it comes to finding property deals that actually make sense, that have got enough potential profit margin to make all that time, effort, energy, refurbishing the damn thing in the first place actually worthwhile, there's certain things to consider. So first of all, every property you look at is not going to be a good deal, of course. This is to a certain extent a numbers game. You have to go and view a few properties in order to find one that's going to work and actually make sense to do. But how do you do that? How do you actually find the best deals? Now, in order to understand how to find the best deals, I had to personally get my head around the reasons why people would sell a property below its true market value. Why would someone readily, willingly choose to sell a property below what it's actually worth? I needed to get my head around that in order to then put the time in and the energy in to be able to find the best deals. So there's a number of different reasons why someone might be classed as what is often known as a motivated seller. So a motivated seller is someone who is generally going to be happy to sell their property below, in many cases, the market value, which is what you need as a property developer or a property investor. If you're looking to get into a deal, it needs to make sense to get it at the right price. So they need to be, to a certain extent, motivated. Now, technically, when everybody puts their property on likes of Rightmove or Zoopla or on the market, whatever portal, they are to a certain extent motivated to sell their property. The degree of motivation, however, is important. And that's really what we're looking at to decide whether that deal is realistically going to be purchased at the right figure for you that's going to work. So, for instance, there are certain reasons why people are happy to sell their property for lower than the market value due to some added motivation. A common reason is they might be in debt. So, they might want more money for the property, but are they in a position to wait for that to happen? So if they're missing mortgage payments, on the verge of being repossessed, having their home taken away from them, messing up their credit score, they might want to get more money still, but they might not be in a position to wait for it. They might not have enough time. And so for them, the best solution may be to sell quickly, even if it is lower than the market value, if it clears the debt and allows them to have a fresh start. So debt is something that is quite a big motivation for many people. If they're not in a position where they can pay the mortgage, of course they're going to be in a higher likelihood of accepting an offer for being able to move more quickly. So debt's a common reason. Death, it's morbid, it's horrible, but people die, and when they do, sometimes people inherit the property, and it might be the case of, yes, they might get more money if they hold on for ages and they wait for the right offer, but they might also have sometimes, in some cases, some emotional attachment to that property where they might just want to get rid of it, and they might be happy to accept lower than what that property is worth. Now, for me, for example, I bought a property. It was a deceased estate, and it was the seller's mum's house. Unfortunately, their mum passed away, and she took over the property. And for her, the reason she decided to take my offer, which was lower than somebody else's offer, was because I actually knew the estate agent. The agent knew me, and the biggest motivation for her was that she could be able to see the property once it was renovated. So the agent sort of put in a good word for me, saying, look, this person's done refurbishment properties before, they've done them to a good standard. So her big motivation was being able to look at the property when it was finished, to be able to see that it was restored into a nice family home. That was more important than the money. Now, I know that might not necessarily be the case for you or many other people in that situation. They might still go, well, I'll take the higher offer. And most people would. But you never know what someone's motivation might be. So that was just, in that situation, what was right for her. And she looked at the property once it was finished. She loved it. And it was a nice opportunity to be able to see that, and to see that she'd seen that she was happy with the works that had been done. It was restored into a family home. So death, as sad as it can be, there can also be motivations there that are beyond just the monetary value. Some people, of course, that go through divorce. It's sad. Again, it happens. And when it does, people might be wanting to get out of the situation they're in quickly. They might therefore accept lower than the market value in order to be able to actually do that. Another one is sales falling through. Now, people who've got the property on the market for sale, they get an offer from a buyer going through the process. The buyer sends out the surveyor panics and says, oh my God, the roof's falling to pieces, or it's got damp problems, or it's got some structural problems, maybe some subsidence happening there that's going to render that property not mortgageable in its current state. Buyer might panic, might pull out of the purchase. Ultimately, it can come back on the market. When it does, you could be in a position to ultimately get a deal there, because the seller might be more motivated than they were when they first listed it. They might be more motivated to sell at a lower price than they first listed it in some cases. So look out for sales falling through, because that's a big one. And that's where I've actually found a lot of properties at good prices for me. And then finally, tired landlords, people that want to get out of the market. They don't want to be renewing their mortgage terms and paying a higher interest. Maybe there's not enough profit in their rental property to be able to justify paying the higher interest. So they want out of that, sell it on. Maybe they're just retiring, they can't be bothered anymore. Whatever the situation might be, there could be some opportunities to get some good deals where tired landlords are looking to exit the market. So there's a number of different reasons why people would sell below the market value. And if you're looking to find good deals, of course, it makes sense to get them at the right price. So these are some of the motivations that people have to sell below the market value. But you might be thinking it's all a bit crude, capitalizing on the vulnerable who are looking to sell, people who are in debt, and ultimately you're taking advantage by buying a property off them. And I actually used to feel that way. I used to feel really concerned about that as well. But the way I see it is, first and foremost, I make certainly a lot of my living, as it were, through flipping properties to make big profits. Now, if I can't get the property at the right price, then ultimately I don't make any money. There's no business there. You'd be the worst developer in the world if you didn't look to make a profit on a deal. Most people understand and respect that, the importance of being able to make a profit. Otherwise, you're not going to be in business for very long. And sometimes, let's say in the case of someone in debt who might need to sell quickly, well, what's better for them? Get their house repossessed, to mess up their credit score, make it difficult to get any future credit or mortgage or whatever they might want to do in the future, or selling the property for maybe a lower amount, but being able to clear that debt, avoid repossession, and be able to preserve their credit file. So in some situations, the big higher amount of money or bigger offer might not actually be the best thing if it's coming from someone who's going to take too long to move forward with that process, who's maybe going to be less able to move more quickly than someone like you, who might be an investor, who's able to get things moving quickly to avoid that property being repossessed, to be able to buy it quickly and ultimately provide a solution that's going to be allowing that person who might be in debt to move on and have a fresh start. So it's looking at things from a different perspective. The way I see it is you provide a solution for those people that want it. If they don't want it, you move on. So I'm not in the business of twisting people's arms to accept low offers when they don't want it. It either works for them or it doesn't. You put your offer forward, it either works or it doesn't, you move on if not. There's plenty of opportunities out there to find another deal. You don't have to be twisting people's arms to get deals done. So realistically, the way I see it, people will accept the offer if it works for them. But one of the things to think about is it's not just a case of the offer itself. The amount itself isn't the only thing that should be taken into consideration by the seller. It's about positioning your offer in the right possible way. So for some people, the amount of money, of course, is important. For most people, the higher the offer, the better. But for some people, speed and certainty of sale is the most important consideration. If they're in debt, or for instance, they want a quick sale for another reason, then the speed and certainty could be more important than just the amount. So hopefully that's helpful in your journey in property. Hopefully you've got some value out of this video, and you'll see me again in part 2, where I'm going to start talking about how you can actually find the deals. So understanding motivation is key, but now it's about being able to go out and find these good deals that are profitable, where you can actually make a decent return and all your time, effort, energy is worthwhile on that next project.